हाँ भाई परमात्मा सावन कृपाल वादी हैं जिन्होंने जगह जगह अपने प्यार की पौध लाई हुई है। आप ही बोलता है, आप ही बुलाता है, आप ही उपदेश सुनता है, आप ही सुनाता है। खाने विच भी वो है, पेटे विच भी वो है। मैनू खुशी है कि किस तरह बच्चों के विच बैठ के वो प्यार दे रहा है। तो जिन्होंने प्रेमियों ने बच्चों के सत्संग का इंतजाम किया धन्यवादी हैं। रसन रोल की तरह इतने ही बच्चों प्यार भरी कहानी सुनाएगा।
I am very thankful to Lord Almighty Saman and Kripa who have planted the saplings of the love wherever they went, all over the places the saplings of the love have been planted by them. He himself is the one who creates the love within us. He himself goes to all the places, gives us the teachings. He himself listens to those teachings. He himself gives the love, he himself receives the love. He is in the thread, he is in the cloth, he is everywhere. And through the children, he is giving me so much of the love, and I am very grateful to him. And also I am very thankful to all the dear ones who have made the arrangements for the children's satsang. Like every day, Russell Perkins will also tell you a story here. And I am very grateful to all of you for this satsang.
This is a story about the king of Balak Bukhara, whose name was Ibrahim Adam, and he was a seeker after God, even though he was a king and lived in a palace. One night he was wondering how he could find a master who could take him to God, and he had the habit of sleeping in a bed made up of many tons of flowers every night, huge mass of flowers, and he would sleep on that and hope that he would find God. So one night he heard this racket up on the roof of the palace, and he didn't know what was happening, and he went up there and he found two men up there, and he said to them, "What are you doing?" And one of them said, "We are looking for our lost camels." He said, "Camels? How do you expect to find camels on the roof of the palace?" And he said, the main one, "The same way you expect to find God sleeping on a bed of flowers." And then they disappeared. So he was very surprised. And several other things happened to him, and finally he decided that he would leave his kingdom and go find a master who in that time was Kabir Sahib. So he was a long way from Kashi, where Kabir Sahib lived, but he got there. He asked him to take him as a disciple. Kabir Sahib said, "Well, that you are a king and I am a weaver, and you're going to have problems staying here with me, maybe you should think twice." But the king of Balak Bukhara said, "No, you are the master and I am the disciple, and I want to be with you." So Kabir let him stay with him, and he assigned him the job of doing all the dirty work, sweeping up, cleaning, helping out in ways like that. And after 6 years, he had given him nothing except these kinds of jobs. And Kabir's wife, whose name was Mataloi, and who was a very loving and compassionate person, said to him, "Why don't you initiate that king? He is a good, humble man. He has left off his kingship. He has come here. He is helping out. Why don't you initiate him?" And Kabir said, "No, he is not ready. You will see. If you want to prove it, just take a basket of dirt and dump it on his head sometime when he isn't expecting it, and see what happens." So the king was standing there, and Mataloi from the window above him reached out and dumped a basket full of dirt on his head. And he got angry. And he looked up at the sky and he shook his fist and he said, "If I were in my kingdom now, we'd see what would happen." And Matalali came away and Kabir Sahib said, "You see, that's what I mean. He's still, that kingship is still there with him." So 6 more years went by, and finally Kabir Sahib said to Matalali, "Well, I'm going to initiate that king." And she said, "But I don't see any difference now than then. He's just the same as he was before." And he said, "No, you see, he's different. Try it again. This time use really yucky garbage and see what happens." So with a really disgusting bucket full of stuff, she dumped it on his head. And the king did not get angry. He just looked at the ground and said, "Oh God, I am worse than that." So Matalali was convinced, and Kabir Sahib gave the king of Balaklakara the initiation after 12 long years of being with him. And the king became a very great devotee and did indeed find God, which he had wanted to do.